Alright, let's go over the first round, Suns versus Lakers. Now, it was a very competitive series from games 1 through 4, and after game 4 it was tied 2-2. We won game 1, we lost 2 and 3, then we came back in game 4. 5 and 6 we blew out the Lakers. You wanna know why we blew out the Lakers? 'Cause we hit our threes. A big reason why we won game 5 and 6, why we blew out the Lakers, is because our three-point shooting was just unparalleled. We were hitting everything from downtown. And yes, having Anthony Davis would make the game close and it wouldn't be a blowout, but I think at the end of the day, the barrage of three-pointers caused by the Phoenix Suns would be too much for the Lakers, and I still think Phoenix would have eliminated the Lakers in 6 because of our three-point shooting. And again, Anthony Davis, very good defensive player. I consider him the best defender in the league, actually. But I don't think one single player is going to stop a team from just shooting the lights out from downtown. It's just not possible. So I still think the Suns would beat the Lakers in 6, even when Anthony Davis was healthy, because the Suns caught fire from downtown in games 5 and 6. Their three-point shooting won them the game. Second round, the Denver Nuggets. This is the same team that took down a healthy Portland Trailblazers team that had to deal with Damian Lillard going off for 40, 50 points every night. That is the same Denver Nuggets team. And so they went up against the Phoenix Suns without Jamal Murray, their second best player, and they got swept. And people's excuse now is if they had Jamal Murray, the Nuggets would beat the Suns. In which case I say, no, I think it would have been more competitive and the Nuggets definitely would have not gotten swept. It would have went to 6 games in my opinion. Because as good as an offensive player Jamal Murray is, it wasn't the Nuggets offense that lost them this series. In my opinion, the biggest weakness for the Nuggets was their pick and roll defense. Because my goodness, every time I saw Chris Paul in the pick and roll, it was an easy bucket. Every time in the fourth quarter I saw Chris Paul in the pick and roll, it was mid-range, Chris Paul, another mid-range shot, Chris Paul, driving to the basket, layup is good, mid-range, Chris Paul. Everything was a mid-range or a layup for Chris Paul because the Nuggets aren't able to defend a pick and roll, especially when you have an elite ball handler like Chris Paul. So in reality, it wasn't the Nuggets offense because I thought their offense was solid. And definitely having Jamal Murray would improve that offense for sure and would have made the games a lot more closer. But at the end of the day, it wasn't the offense, it was the defense that needed help. And as good of a player Jamal Murray is offensively, he doesn't provide that impact defensively. He doesn't have that same impact on defense that he has on offense. So I still think the Suns would pull away because it doesn't matter if you score 120 points with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. It doesn't matter because if you're going to give up 130 points on the other end, what's the point? So in my opinion, I think the Nuggets' lack of a good pick and roll defense is what really caused their downfall. And at the end of the day, the Suns pulled away because they tore apart that defense with the pick and roll with Chris Paul. So pretty much, I still think the Suns would have beaten the Nuggets. It would have went to 6 had they had Jamal Murray. But at the end of the day, the Suns' ability in the pick and roll with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, it was too much for the Nuggets to handle. And having Jamal Murray wouldn't change that. Conference Finals versus the Los Angeles Clippers. This was the same Clippers team that took down the first-seeded Utah Jazz, the team with the best record in the NBA in games 5 and 6, and they did it without their superstar player Kawhi Leonard. Then they had to go up against the Phoenix Suns, who, by the way, did not have Chris Paul for games 1 and 2 due to the health and safety protocols. So essentially, we were on equal playing field in games 1 and 2. And you would think that, hey, maybe the Clippers can take a 2-0 lead right here. You have momentum going back to home. Chris Paul came back playing like dog water. So who knows? They may have won game 3. Maybe the Suns win game 4. But then in game 5 at, the Suns' home court, they would have closed out and would have advanced to the finals. So that could have happened. They could have easily went up 2-0. But no, instead, the Suns went up 2-0 because Devin Booker is a god who had a 40-point triple-double in game 1. And then in game 2, DeAndre Ayton also said, I'm a god as well, and proceeded to dunk his way to victory. Essentially, the Clippers fumbled the opportunity to take a 2-0 lead. Chris Paul came back. it was a bit up and down. I think we lost game three. We came back game four, game five. You don't talk about that. But then game six, it was a blowout, and the Suns advanced to the finals. And it could have been all avoided. It could have been completely rewritten had they just taken the 2-0 lead in Phoenix. But the Clippers didn't do that because they're the Clippers, and so we managed to close out. So yes, would having Kawhi benefit y'all? Yeah, but in my opinion, I don't think you really needed him, especially for games one and two, because you could have taken a 2-0 lead. You could have won at least one game back home. Maybe the Suns steal one, and then you could have closed out on their home court in game five. So basically, you could have made the finals without Kawhi Leonard. You would have been waiting for the Hawks vs. Bucks. Kawhi probably may have come back for the finals, and y'all could probably have won an NBA title. So basically, you could have done that, but instead, that didn't happen because, again, as I said, the Suns took advantage, took a 2-0 lead, and then when they got Chris Paul, they struggled a little bit, but at the end of the day, Chris Paul got his mind together and he closed out the Clippers in a Game 6 performance where he dropped 41 points. So essentially, I think the Clippers could have made the finals even without Kawhi Leonard had they taken that 2-0 lead, but that didn't happen. Suns took a 2-0 lead, and now they're in the NBA Finals where the Clippers could have been. So basically, I don't think Kawhi was necessary for them to make the finals. He was necessary to win the final. Don't get me wrong about that. Necessary to win the finals. But I think the Clippers could have easily won this series without Kawhi Leonard. Alright, I'm done raging for now, but I just want to say, I hope y'all understand where I'm coming from, that no one's going to care about this in 10, 15 years. As time moves on, so does the game, and eventually people in the NBA community is going to forget about this year's playoffs and just be like, oh yeah, this team won the title this year, yeah. I mean, again, there probably will be a few people who are just like, oh, actually, there were all these injuries and stuff, but it doesn't matter. You get my point. And then also at the top of that, you can't blame a team for winning games because at the end of the day, you can't control the injuries for the opposing team. Your only job is just play the team that's in front of you and win the game. So I think that's why people need to chill back on the Mickey Mouse ring and easiest path to the finals because they couldn't control that. And at top of that, you just have to go out there and play basketball. Beat the team that's in front of you. Whether they have their best or second best player or not, you have to go out there and play. And you have to win the game, with or without their best player. So that's why I think that this year's championship should count. There should be no asterisk. Just like I said last year. Last year I said the same thing to a lot of people. That it still counts, and so does this one. And people need to start understanding that you can't just simply say, oh, this ring counts, but this ring doesn't. It makes no sense. And on top of that, it's disrespectful to the team who won it all. That's all I'm saying when you're judging based off of rings. That's all I have to say. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel by a minute. I'm trying to get back on my upload grind, but until next video, I'll see you all then. Have a great rest of your day, man. Peace out.